Hi, how are you? Good afternoon from New York City, and good day, or good evening, or good morning to all those in various time zones. I'm continuing to answer your questions. Thank you for supporting the book, You Are the Universe, Discovering Your Cosmic Self and Why It Matters. And thank you for sending your questions from this book. But also, as you know, you can send me any question on any topic. And the place to send the questions is info@jayo.com, info at jayo, JIYO.com. This is our place to hang out together and create a critical mass for a more peaceful, just, sustainable, healthier and joyful world. The app is Jayo, J-I-Y-O, and you can also go to the internet and register on jayo.com. The questions, once again, can be sent to info@jayo.com. So today's question is from Tanya Markwart, Markvart, and Tanya is a planning faculty's relationships manager, planning faculty relations manager, student success office, University of Waterloo. And Tanya asks, where does consciousness come from? Can we ever know? So now people keep complaining that the books are shown the wrong way and the type is not correct. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Such a banal, mundane detail, while the universe is expanding faster than the speed of light and galaxies are disappearing across the cosmic horizon into the unknowable. And why do you worry about the type being the wrong way? It's not a big deal, right? Relax about the camera and all these things. These are minor. We're discussing big things here, the meaning of existence and the purpose of everything. And if the type is the wrong way because of the camera and because, frankly speaking, I don't know how to adjust it, let it be, let it go, relax. Okay. So the question, back to the question. Tanya says, where does consciousness come from? Can we know? So this is a very good question. And I'll give you the answer and then I'll do my best to explain the answer as well. Consciousness has no form, right? If consciousness was a material thing, it would have form. Like this hand, it has a form. Sweater has a form. Scarf has a form. Statue in the back has a form. Painting has a form. Form, color, shape, solidity. So everything that we call an object has a form. And all forms have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Right? This did not exist even 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And there'll be a time when it won't exist. This did not exist many decades ago, 8 decades ago, it did not exist. And now this exists, but it's constantly changing, because this is an activity. This thing that I call body-mind is an activity. So everything that has form is actually a process, and it is in time. It has a beginning, a middle, and time. People, places, things, animals, all these have form. You can see them, you can touch them, you can taste them, you can smell them, you can destroy them, and some you can create as well. But consciousness has no form. You can't see consciousness, you can't touch it, you can't taste it, you cannot smell it, because it has no form. And because it has no form, it cannot have a beginning. So we say, where does consciousness come from? The answer is, it always is. You can't even say it always was. It always is. So consciousness is formless, has no boundaries, is not in time, is fundamental, is infinite. Infinite. Robert Hoff says multi-dimensional. Yes, multi-dimensional, infinitely dimensional. So then the simplest answer is, to your question, Tanya, consciousness doesn't come from anywhere, nor does it go anywhere. It is timelessly now. Acausal, without cause. Not subject to birth and death. Not subject to birth and death. Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, speaking of consciousness, says, water cannot wet it, wind cannot dry it, weapons cannot shatter it, fire cannot burn it, it's ancient, it's unborn, and it is not subject to death. But then what about all these forms and phenomena that we perceive? What about them? What are they made of? And how can we look at them with a different understanding? So back on that in 15 seconds. So we said consciousness is timeless, eternal, formless, infinitely dimensionless, fundamental reality. But its movement results in form and phenomenon. Let me do an exercise with you right now that will help you to free yourself from your current waking dream. So let's start with some mental experiences, and then we'll go on to physical experiences. So let's go through the following exercises. Close your eyes and imagine a beautiful sunset over snow-clad mountains. Actually, don't even have to close your eyes. You can imagine a sunset with your eyes open. if you want to. Just have soft eyes, don't focus on anything. Imagine a beautiful sunset, snow-clad mountains, and you're having an experience. You're having an experience, it's a mental experience, and it's an image. That's what the word imagination means. Imagination means the formation of an image. So where was that image before you decided to imagine it? And the answer is, it existed in your consciousness without a form. And then as soon as you imagined it, then that consciousness modified itself into a form. Okay? That consciousness modified itself into a form. Imagine anything. Imagine your favorite song. Listen to it. My favorite song, interestingly enough, happens to be Imagine by John Lennon. So listen to it. You have an experience. You can hear something in your consciousness. You can hear the song in your consciousness. Right? So where was that song before you imagined listening to it? It existed without form in your consciousness. And then consciousness modified itself into the experience of subtle sound that you heard as the song. You can try this with any experience. Imagine that you're tasting chocolate ice cream. You have an experience. So the experience of subtle experience of chocolate ice cream existed in the formless consciousness before you modified itself into that experience. So all mental experience, which we call thoughts and images and feelings, imagine and experience the love you have for somebody very close to you, somebody very close to you. And now feel the love. Where was that experience before you had that intention? Well, it existed in the formless dimension of consciousness before you decided to experience it. You brought attention and intention, and then it became an experience, a subtle experience which we call thought. Thoughts, feelings, images are the formless taking some kind of shape or form or experience. So we can see that all mental phenomena are modified forms of the formless. What about all so-called physical phenomena? What about so-called physical existence? Look at my hand. And now look at that painting, or look at some item of furniture in your own room. Or look at your own body. That looking is an act of attention and intention, and that which you experience, this hand or that painting or the furniture in your own room, that which you experience when you see is a modification of consciousness called seeing that gives rise to the experience of color, shape and form. Color, shape and form. And we then call it an object. We call it an object, but before we call it an object, it's an experience. And the experience is formless consciousness modifying itself into, in this case, the activity that we call seeing. And when you focus on one object, then all the other objects kind of are vaguely present and some disappear altogether. So you can see through focused awareness or contracted awareness, we activate that which is called seeing, which is an activity, a modification of the formless into a form that we call a physical object. That physical object could be a hand, it could be a scarf, it could be a statue, it could be a painting, it could be anything. But just like seeing is an activity of consciousness, hearing is an activity of consciousness, sensing is an activity of consciousness, sensation is an activity of consciousness, smell is an activity of consciousness, taste is an activity of consciousness. In fact, hearing, seeing, tasting, smelling, sensing are the way consciousness knows and experiences. Consciousness knows and experiences by modifying itself into that experience through seeing, touching, tasting, smelling, hearing, which are modified activities of consciousness that then experienced, that are then experienced as form and phenomena. So everything that we call physical reality, the world, the universe, stars, galaxies, these are modified activities of consciousness as form and phenomena. So every form is a phenomenon, and every phenomenon is a modification of consciousness. The forms and phenomena are in time. If I asked you to imagine that sunset over the mountains, it's very difficult to hold on to that image, right? Because it's just a vibration of consciousness that is arising, subsiding, arising, subsiding. Similarly, when you look at an object, nobody can look at an object forever because consciousness is modifying itself into other experiences. Eternally, consciousness modifies itself into experience eternally in what we call an ever-present now. So form and phenomena are modifications of the formless. They go together. They go together. Rich Cruz asked, would you say consciousness is awareness? Yes, same thing. So why is this important? This is important because we confuse the form and phenomena, which are the projections of consciousness, we confuse them with fundamental reality, which is formless consciousness. And then we not only confuse them, we attach ourselves to the form and phenomena, and we say, that's me, this is me, this body is me, this house is mine. We attach ourselves and we grasp at that which is ungraspable. Lisa is asking what happens to our consciousness when we die. Well, the question is phrased incorrectly. When we die. We don't die, only experience dies as soon as it is born, eternally and now. The only reason there is continuity in the world is the experiencer, which is formless, that which we call I, is always present in every experience. That is not subject to birth and death. So nothing happens to us when we die except that experience, the fluctuations of consciousness, cease, stop. For how long? Well, from the point of view of the infinite, there is no time, so the question doesn't apply. From the point of view of the finite, I don't know. Because in the infinite, a blink of an eye and an epoch of time are all the same. Eternally present in a formless dimension. So, birth and death, or experience, whether it's a mental experience, are happening all the time. A thought is born, it dies. A feeling is born, it dies. A sensation is born, it dies. A perception is born, it dies. All experiences in time, including the experience of that which, as human beings, we call mind, body, universe. But that which is projecting the experience, the formless being, is not subject to birth and death. It does not die because it was never born. Okay? So when you shift your allegiance from the dream to that which is dreaming, then you are free. You realize that only the formless is real. Only the formless is real, and that is you, before you manifest as form. So once this body, mind and world dies, because this body, mind and world are a unified experience, this body, mind and world are a unified experience. When this body, mind and world dies, what happens to the formless Deepak? Well, consciousness can never stay in a state of perfect equilibrium, and therefore it begins to vibrate again and then recycles as form and phenomena. Maybe a different shape, a different form, but the formless can never resist taking on form. So we are the formless being, eternally manifesting as form and phenomena. Takes a very minor shift in how we see the world. See the world right now, around you. Look at your own body. This is your dream right now. And then shift to that which is dreaming, just by being aware. By being aware of being aware, as my friend Rupert Spira says. And you can immediately know yourself as the formless being, eternally manifesting as form and phenomena. This is what it means to have the fullness of experience but not be bound by it. Have the fullness of experience but not be imprisoned by it. To be imprisoned by experience is called the prison of karma. Okay? Today I feel like ending with a quote from Buddha. So this is what the Buddha said 2,500 years ago. This lifetime of ours is transient as autumn clouds. To watch the birth and death of beings is like looking at the movements of a dance. A lifetime is like a flash of lightning in the sky, rushing by like a torrent down a steep mountain. But then as we shift from that into formless being, that experience is called nirvana. Nirvana is to experience the dream and know it as a dream, knowing all the time that the dreamer is timeless, eternal, formless being. Where do we go when we die? We don't go anywhere. We are there now. To imagine something, to think of something, to perceive something, we have to be eternally in contact with the formless being in which this dream is happening. You are the dreamer and not the dream. The dream is in time, but you are not in time. That is why you are the universe. The physical universe is a dream, as is your body, as is your mind. Eric? Aham Brahmasmi. Yes. Aham Brahmasmi. Anna Franklin says, I don't think it is a minor shift, it's a small shift. Actually, it's no shift at all. Ultimately, it's a journey from here to here. It's a journey without distance, but a new knowing. T.S. Eliot, we shall not cease from exploration, and the end of our exploring will be to arrive where we started from and know the place for the first time. Lord Shiva, step out of the river of memory and conditioning and see the world as if for the first time. Everyday reality is a lucid dream. Pinch yourself. That sensation is part of the lucid dream. But it may remind you to shift your awareness back to that which is dreaming. The Peace of Mind coach says, we are already there. Absolutely. There is nowhere to go when you are all there is, eternally now. Demetrius Vela says, dream catcher. Yes, it's impossible to catch the dream, but it's always possible to be the dreamer. Thank you. Charles says, I'm the dreamer and the dream. Correct. You are the dreamer and the dream. You may say, I'm a dreamer. Yes, all of us are dreamers. Thank you for being in my dream. I'm so happy to be part of your dream as well. Ruby says, the end is the beginning. Yes, I am the Alpha and the Omega. Okay, enough for today. Thank you.